Guys. I'm just gonna get this up. Okay, so I did my article on connecting, um, and let's just hop right in. What is connecting? Connecting is going to be students connecting their reading, what they're reading, or any certain texts to real life situations, personal experiences, things that they've seen, other texts. Basically, connecting what they know, their knowledge that they already have. Um, this is just to create a deeper understanding of a subject or a topic, and it's going to help the students just really comprehend their reading and understand it to the fullest. Um, these are some connecting strategies that are commonly used in the classroom. There were a few more on the article, but I chose to include the most important ones and things that I actually have seen in action that I've done and just how common these ones are. So the first one's going to be the basic connecting, asking your students, what does this remind you of? What can you think of that maybe relates to this? What have you seen that maybe looks like this? This is just going to help them really think outside the box, think outside of what they're reading, and try to think of things that they've seen that they already know. You can connect poetry to your students' lives. Um, Poetry is sometimes really hard to decode, especially for younger kids. So relating that to their personal experiences is going to be really helpful and just really a tool to help them understand the poetry. And that kind of goes with the text to self connections. So if you're reading any text in any subject or content area, you can relate it to their lives, themselves, personal theories they have, personal experiences. Yeah, so that kind of goes hand in hand with the poetry. And then text to text. So this can be either relating to content areas to one another. If you're reading about science and your student thinks, oh, this kind of relates to the history article that we read earlier this week, definitely play into that and use that as a tool because it really helps broaden their understanding of both content areas. So that's very helpful. Or it can be relating similarities that authors may share between two texts, similarities in the way that the text is set up, whether it's informational, fictional, just connecting text to other text. And then you're going to look at text connecting to the world and the things that they see around them. So this could be, news stories they've seen, the way that they know the world works, just different things that they see all the time or that they know about already that can help them understand this text a little more. It also talked about distracting connections, which I thought were very interesting. I had never heard of these before, and I really think it's a good teaching tool. So the distracting connections are going to be the connections that cause our minds to kind of wander elsewhere, and we kind of lose the point of the story, of the meaning of the text. So this is like your student sees a picture of a cookie and they think, oh my gosh, my grandma makes the best chocolate chip cookies ever. So and now they're thinking about their grandma's chocolate chip cookies for the entire rest of the story, even if it's about baking soda reactions or something like that. So they just really, it's important to teach your students about these distracting connections so they can differentiate what a good connection is versus a distracting one. And it can really help them actually make connections that apply to the reading. So I thought it was important to include this example. This was actually in the reading. I just wanted to kind of dive deeper into it. A second grade class is reading a book called Amos and Boris, which is about a whale and a mouse, as seen as this picture. Um, they're really good friends, and the whale washes up on shore, and the mouse doesn't quite know what to do because he's pretty small. And this is a real like life or death situation here. The mouse has to figure out how to get the huge whale back into the water. It's kind of heavy, but at the same time, it's it's a good book. It's a really good book. But as fate would have it, the next day, in their local area, a whale washed up on the beach. And she thought, oh my gosh, this is a great opportunity to connect what we just read to this real life situation, this real world situation. So it's actually really sad because the whale ended up passing away, and the students were pretty upset about that, as you can imagine. But it helped them create this connection. Oh, this actually does happen in real life, and this is a real serious situation. So it's going to help them, think about the bio life and things like that. It's just a really good way to connect those two together. So differentiation. This is going to be, your students are having trouble with this connecting process. How do you assist them in creating connections that are useful to their learning? I thought it's really important to take the time before you even read the text to notice things, prompt your students. It's really going to rely on what prompting you give if a student is struggling. So, asking questions like, how does this relate to you? Do you know somebody like this? Have you seen this somewhere? Have you seen this in our classroom? Have you seen this on the news? Asking them lots of different questions and just helping them kind of grasp onto what that connecting process looks like, and also modeling it is going to be really important. Giving visual aid, it talked about, having students be able to draw out their thoughts, draw out examples. Um, some students have a really creative mind, and this is a way to help them really just grasp that concept. Writing about reading, some students really have a hard time putting their thoughts into words. So, writing their thoughts, having a journal, doing the sketch mapping, can be really helpful in, sharing with these. Sharing out loud, having those group discussions between whole class or small groups, or even just two students talking about the reading, trying to connect it to something else. This is going to be a really good tool. Using students kind of going off of each other can really be helpful in this situation. So next I'm going to show my sketch. These are all of the main points of my presentation that I just gave. I thought this was a really, really cool way to put my thinking into a solid thing. And it was really helpful in really getting my presentation together. Actually, I did this at the end. Um, and this is a tool that can be really, really helpful for students. And, if I was actually teaching this, I would want students to have personal connections written on one of these maps. It's really, really helpful and really, really cool. So thank you for watching my presentation. I hope you learned something.